Welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. I'm excited about this interview, but I want to talk about what's scrolling across the bottom. We are having our 5th of 6 entrepreneur mental wellness courses. It's about leading when you need help and the struggles with that. So the link will be up in the comments section shortly. Please check that out. I also want to give a big shout out to TNT. The Clean Tech, Ag Tech, and Life Science Summits are this Thursday, and there's going to be five parties across Western Canada. Go to startuptnt.com, check it out, get out there, network. We are going to talk about networking with the master of networking, Mr. Ian McDonald. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Jade.
You know what? We just before we went live, I was like, how freaking long overdue is this discussion? Like, come on. How could you not want to come on my show?
Well, I thank you very much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. And yes, you did ask me a while back. There's been a number of folks that have asked me to join their podcast or video interviews. So you're actually the very first in my role at KPMG. So I thought that would be really special. You're also one of the very first to ask me. I've put this off for a really long time. Mainly because there's so many other really interesting people out there in the ecosystem. I'm a huge fan of. The imposter syndrome is real. I think we all sort of struggle with it a bit. Being vulnerable here, I struggle with it. I see a lot of really interesting people out there, and I'm more fascinated by the stories of others than hearing my own voice. So I do really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to chat with you.
That's funny that you say that, because you and I talk about this all the time, right? And this is why I started Telling It Like It Is, to share these unbelievable stories that are out there. Like there are so many great people, great stories, great companies that need to be shouted from the mountaintops, even more so. And again, we talked about Tyler and all the great things that, his 407 interviews that are, he crushes it, and everybody else. So this what makes us unique in Alberta.
Totally. Well, now I'm going to get a message from Tyler saying, "All right, it's time to be on the show."
I know. I won up to Tyler. I got you first again.
Tyler, I'll see you soon, I'm sure. Collisions YYC, Tyler Chisholm, if folks don't know Tyler already, who's done 407 episodes. And Jade, you have done a total of how many episodes now?
We're about 300 and this will be 306, I believe.
So that's incredible. I mean, folks, if you don't know how much work goes into it and, finding interesting guests to bring on, Jade, kudos to you for elevating people's stories and supporting the ecosystem. You're a huge supporter. So just again, thanks to you.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. And I know the key KPMG rules. I mean, I'm used to, being with Kunal there. Give a shout out to him in Toronto, right?
Yeah,
cool.
I
have to explain this. Even if we change the title, all of a sudden you have to go and get the approvals. And that's a good thing. I just understand the process of KPMG.
Totally. Yeah. The risk and compliance, just making sure we got all of our checks. We want to be on side, all that type of stuff for sure. Appreciate that.
Well, you know what? I want to kick this off, because obviously we're both very passionate, as people have heard, about our startup scale up community. And obviously you're the business and innovation leader with KPMG Canada, based out of Platform. So, you know what? Why don't we talk a little bit about you? Talk about your career and what led you and, to your KPMG role that you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. So my career started in actually community development and real estate development. Back in the day, I'm actually born and raised in the Okanagan. I hail from BC, moved here in 2009, and I have a 15-year career in real estate and community development. So that's everything from estate communities, single family, multifamily, construction, mixed use. And that led me eventually to Calgary. And, I had a lot of fun, a great time in that industry, although it is an industry that is ripe for innovation. And it was something that I felt was a bit lacking. So a great opportunity came up to join a startup that was based out of Saskatoon, that was quickly growing. It was the first in Canada to be a fully licensed online vehicle retailer. And I had this great opportunity to join this company called Kirby. And that was 2 years in a startup. We grew quickly. We spread across the prairies, and then unfortunately, as things sometimes happen, the company came to a screeching halt, and our digital doors were closed very suddenly. So from that point, I had a decision to make. I love the startup world. I love the camaraderie and the culture, and I loved, finding something new every day to a problem to solve. That innovation and technology use, and focusing on the problem that the customers had, and developing something new and innovative. That was really inspiring for me. But at the same time, I was, considering, well, what role could I play in supporting Calgary and our growth and development? And I live in East Village. Um, I was watching Platform Innovation Center under construction for a few years, and this role came up at KPMG to be a leader in our involvement through Platform and through various other ecosystems and support organizations in the city. And I thought, this is great. I get to be a bit of a person that straddles between the startup scale up world and the corporate Calgary world, and KPMG's involvement there. So KPMG decided to get really involved in this. We're a pillar member sponsor. We have the KPMG pitch stage, as you're familiar with, and we also have our 1,000-square-foot innovation center called Ignition Calgary out of Platform. And our goal is threefold. One, how do we just support our community of startup and scale up founders? How do we help them get connected to the support, advisement, services that they need so that they can grow and thrive? This is mostly philanthropic. This is more, giving back. Let's answer some questions. Let's help them on their way. They don't know what they don't know, but let's be there to help support them. The second part is, how do we help create client collisions? How do we connect a startup, scale-up company that we're working with to a client of ours? Let's take a clean tech startup that's working on something, and hey, we've got an oil and gas client. Maybe there's an opportunity to make an introduction and see where that relationship could go. And then the third part is business development. Definitely, as companies get larger and grow and scale, maybe they're going international, maybe they're looking to acquire. There are service lines that we can help support with, and so I help connect them to them. If it's something that we can't help support, I'm a big connector, so I like to connect folks outside of the organization as well to other people that are supporting, folks like yourself at Peer Guidance, or others that can really help grow and thrive companies and support those founders.
No, I agree, and totally agree with exactly what you said, and giving back. And sorry for laughing, but thanks, Neil. Some pretty great hair and insight with these two guys today. And I know,
Hair.
before we go, I mean, I know I
Do
got a
you
little
got Neil
greasy hair. I don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet, but I'm just going to say that, Ian and I played in a squash tournament here, and after watching him run around the court, his hair did not move after 30 minutes. So it is there. It's not moving.
That was true. It doesn't normally happen.
So, and that's quite, and you know what, a big shout out, I want to say shout out to Bow Valley College, because what, Darren and Dean and Connor and all the guys down there, we met, Ken McLean. It's a good place to network and everything like that. So it was an awesome event. It always is an awesome event. But to your point there on building the community, right? It's something that I actually think we need more of. I love it. Like, I think so many other companies should look at what KPMG is doing and say, hey, why don't we start to give back? When I was hosting the IoT North conference, we were talking about what we need. Some of these big, well-established, doesn't have to be oil and gas or companies like KPMG, but all companies to come back and really get involved and understand what some of these startups needs. Because sometimes it's not cash. It's just a break to test their product or a pilot.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, and Bow Valley Athletic Club. You said Bow Valley College, but if Bow Valley College puts in, but if they put in squash courts, that's closer to home for me. So I'm happy with that, and right across the street from Platform. So I love that idea. More squash courts in the city. So 100% agree with you. And yes, it's not always about the cash. It's not always about the VC dollars or the government grants. Ultimately, in the long run, what they're looking for is customers, and they're also looking for feedback. And so I really strongly encourage companies that are speaking with an early stage tech startup or scale up to give them feedback. Don't say it's not a no, it's a not now. Like, give the feedback so they can help improve. And I think that's the difference between maybe our culture a bit here in Canada versus the US. The US are a little bit more blunt and upfront about giving that feedback. And so I would really strongly encourage folks here to give that feedback and an opportunity. Give them a shot, give them a pilot project. Let's see what happens, because customers are ultimately what all these businesses are driving for.
Like, it couldn't have said that better, right? Like, it is. And again, I'm not involved in a lot of other ecosystems across, across. I talk to them and, work with CED and, help promote companies to come here, whether it be a VC fund or whoever, right? So those things I agree. But man, it kind of leads into, what's working, what's not working, in our ecosystem. And I think, there's a lot of positives, but let's talk a little bit more about that. What do we think? How do we think, or who do we need to talk to engage these bigger companies to get more involved? I mean, Plug and Play is doing a fantastic job with Lindsay and their team, trying to get, the WestJets and all of them more involved. So what else do you think we need to do?
Yeah, and that's a kind of bit about my role too, is making those connections to our clients and introducing these early stage companies to opportunities in the city and across the country. It is a really good question. I've been a part of a couple roundtable discussions where a lot of different people from different perspectives have contributed their thoughts and ideas on this. And education is one. We have to create more awareness. That's in large part why I do a lot of the posts I do on LinkedIn, is just to create awareness of what's happening in our city, what's going on with these companies and how quickly they're growing, and the interesting stories of those founders. If we can find a way to bridge that gap, to get those pilot projects, to encourage more companies to learn about what technology and innovation is right here in our own city and in our province, I think that's where we're going to have the best shot. I can't comment on whether there's opportunity for the government to get involved. I mean, we've got grants and funding that go to companies, but maybe there could be opportunities to provide incentives for companies to work with earlier stage startups and scale-ups. However, we want those companies to still be very competitive too, though, and we want everyone to be in this market system where they are competing. No one's getting an overly unfair advantage, but we still also want to support local at the same time. So it's a really big question. I don't have all the answers, but in speaking with a lot of people, though, I think there's a lot of answers out there that we can pull from.
Let's talk about some of these roundtables we have, because sometimes I've been a little critical of saying that we have a lot of talk, but a lot of no action. And I mean, and we just had around kind of the CICs and things like that again, right? And I know, like I said, when I kicked it off, I said this is my fourth CIC roundtable discussion, and I was on a couple of them, and it's like we're talking about the same things. So who should lead this? Who do you think should lead this to kind of get that going?
Oh, that's too big of a question for me to answer, Jay. I think it really comes down to all of us, and we have to ask the questions to ourselves. What are we doing about it? I mean, are we just focused on our interests and self-interest, or are we going to look to give back and provide support? Does that mean you're someone's in another organization? Are they going to raise their hand and mention the name of a startup or the name of a founder that they heard a story about and say, hey, let's take a chance on this. Let's look into this further. I think it's going to come down to all of us. It is going to be a community effort. I don't think it's any one particular individual or one organization that can do this. It's going to have to be all of us collectively. So sorry, I don't have a magic bullet answer on that, but it's really just going to have to be take a pause, think to yourself and go, when was the last time you brought up the name of a founder in a boardroom meeting to say, hey, I think there's actually a solution that we can provide here.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and we talk about all the great things that go on, the collaboration, the working together. It doesn't matter, what industry, or if you're an ex-founder, or you're a current founder, or you're a fund, or you're a VC, or you're an angel. Everybody's working together, and those are probably some of the greatest things that happen in this province. And I do love that comment, though, about I know infiltrate's probably the wrong word, but getting into those boardrooms somehow at that C-suite level of these companies, and making them aware of what's going on outside their walls, and not just reading a token article here or there. Or maybe it's not talked about enough at the Petroleum Club or Ranchman's. I don't know, right?
Yeah. We've got to be advocates and allies for those in the city that are growing their business, that are working really hard, and wanting to provide innovative solutions. This is only going to be additive to our city. This is not a replacement to
Oh yeah.
our traditional industry, not at all. This is only additive. It's a diversification of our economy. It is a net positive to the city. There are still some, amazing success stories and growth of companies that have started right out of Calgary. So we've got a lot more that are just being harvested right now.
Oh yeah, lots of great things happening in this province, and the tech industry, if we just want to kind of limit it to that right now, I mean, we're just crawling, we're just starting, we're just getting out there, and I'm excited about it, and I've seen the growth in the 9 years that I've been kind of playing in that, and God, I can't wait to see what's next. I mean, for even when I'm gone, and who knows when that will be, but I'm just like, man, it's there's great things starting right now.
Yeah, and I think Calgarians, Albertans in general, are hungry for this. Like we're wanting this. As being the youngest population of a city in Canada, there's just sort of this vibrancy and attraction to wanting to see what's new and innovative and what's happening next, and how are we going to build that. I mean, we are pioneers out here, so uh, that is sort of a value that we all share, I believe, or most of us share, is that entrepreneurial nature. And so, we're looking forward to building, what the world is going to do tomorrow. And I think of, one of our partners here, Chris Mara, who's really involved and works with a lot of tech companies. And Chris's why as to why he is involved and supports, and works with tech companies, is that for his children who grow up, he wants the city to have job opportunities for them when they get older, so that they don't
Yeah.
move away, that they still call Calgary home. And that's a really good why. And I would ask folks, that are in the ecosystem, that are supporting or considering supporting it, is what's your why? Why do you want to be involved? Why do you want to support? What is it ultimately? And I bet you it has something to do with wanting to be in a city that has growth and opportunity and prosperity for everyone. And that's my why as well.
Oh, and mine too. And I can speak. I mean, our girls are soon to be 14 and 17, and we talk about it all the time, right? Like, even our oldest daughter wanted to be now she wants to be a dermatologist. I was like, well, yeah, we invested in a company called All Skin, and I can introduce you to some. Why don't you go talk, and away we go, right? Like, to make
Nice.
sure that you can understand, and especially as a young woman that Ray is turning into and is, to look at someone at Isabel and say, hey, like, I could, like, look at this, right? I went to
Yeah.
be a doctor, and now I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like, here
Yeah,
we go. Who
totally.
thought? Who thought?
Well, that's
But
someone who's going to carry on the torch of Founders Coffee then.
well,
There you got there you go.
we
The
don't we
next
don't need
generation.
anybody it runs itself now. Founders Coffee is a well-oiled machine. It don't need anybody. It's just good. Brendan, for anybody that wants to know, if you're a startup founder, come on out every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. at Red's Diner in Kensington. You'll meet like-minded people, and it's a good time. Or if you're an industry supporter type thing, come on out. Like, it's a great place to meet people. I
That
kind of
was
wanted.
not prompted. That plug there was not even prompted. You didn't even tell me to say that. I was just like, I had
Oh,
to
I
throw it
know.
out there.
Again, when you have good, authentic conversation, it just rolls into, and literally, like, I
Totally.
want to talk about the power of networking, and then boom, here we are rolling into something about networking, and it is so important to network and get out there and talk about it. You and I are at a lot of events. We meet a lot of people. We talk to a lot of people, which is great. And
Mhm.
even yesterday, I was sitting down with a gentleman who wanted to become a consultant, and he was like, "Man, this is hard. Like, how do I get out there? How do I do this? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing wrong?" And I've tapped into my network, but I mean, it doesn't seem to be getting me any leads and things like that. And I was like, "Man, you got to get out there. Like, you got to
Yeah.
go to the events. You got to go to, especially this Thursday, TNT, where there'll be a lot of people, a lot of founders, a lot of industry supporters around." And why don't you just kind of explain the power of networking, from your point of view?
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. I have people reaching out all the time, asking for advice and guidance on, how they can improve their network, how do they, improve their LinkedIn presence, what can they do to get connected to the right job, So there's a million answers that can be provided. Once you sit down with someone and start asking questions, what are they interested in? What are they passionate about? What's their why? Who are the types of people that they're wanting to get in front of? And one is just, if there's a particular company that you're interested in, start trying to connect with that company and those individuals that work there. Instead of asking for, hey, do you have any jobs that are available? Just ask the question of, how do you like your job? How do you like
Yeah.
working there? Hey, can I just take you out for lunch or a cup of coffee and just tell me a little bit about your company? You're going to start to develop a relationship with that person, and then naturally it might flow into, hey, well, I'm actually looking for a job. That person's going to feel more inclined to say, hey, you know what? I'd be happy to put your resume forward. I'd be happy to mention that I met you and spoke with you. So do it in a more authentic and organic way than just, okay, I'm going to spray my resume there out to as many companies as possible and just hope for something to come up. I think you've also got to put a lot of time and energy into researching the business. What do they do? Show an actual interest. Tailor, what you're writing to them specifically about their business. And then your presence online. Everyone's going to be looking you up on LinkedIn if you're looking for a job in a company. So how do you show up online? What are your interests? Do you, I know one individual who's looking for work right now, and he teaches squash, and I'm like, you know what, you should put that on there. You should put that on there, that you're a member of a club, that you teach young people squash. Put that on there. It's going to show that you're a really well-rounded person, showing your interests. You never know, there might be someone in that company that you're looking to work at that also plays squash, and it's like, oh, there's a connection right there. There's a shared interest.
Oh, absolutely, right. And it's I can't even tell you how much I agree with that answer, right? I mean, it is, you don't have to hit every single event. You might want to hit some in
No.
the first few months, a little more. And a big shout out to Debbie for what she posts out there in the
Oh
No
yeah.
YYC. Like, that list is priceless, right? For newbies.
100%. Yeah, if you don't know Debbie and you're not connected to In the Know YYC, please, like, do your research, get connected to her updates and her calendar. I was just chatting with her the other day. I'm a huge fan. I love seeing what's happening on the event calendar. So Platform Calgary's also got an event calendar. I think there's a few others out there. Debbie's is really dialed in. But yeah, find what's out there. And I can think of another individual. He came over from Ukraine. He's looking for a job right now. And I just encourage him to get out there to the events, show up at Platform. And then I see him popping up on social media. I see him at events and networking, connecting. I know it's still a struggle. It's still really hard for him to find and land that role. But keep at it. Perseverance. It'll work. It'll happen.
Oh yeah, great events. Even Tech Thursday, like, since they've been doing
Yeah.
that in Manitoba for a long time, and then Phillipe launched it here. Great,
Yeah.
great job. I know we're there this Thursday. That's not why I'm plugging it. I plug it all the time. I think it's great. You go to Tech Thursday, then you roll over to TNT. Like, so
Totally.
it's a day of networking type thing, right? So yeah, and when you brought up a great point to talk about LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn is powerful, and I think people take it a little bit for granted that, oh, I'll just put a post out there and it's going to be good. No, it's about consistency. It's about letting people know
Mhm.
what you're doing. It's not about, bragging or boasting or things along
Yeah.
those lines. It's about telling your story. And what you said about, people that are out there, like, I see it, I engage with people. I meet so many people on LinkedIn, people, I have my own LinkedIn rules for, if, you have to have looked at my profile and things like that, or I'm not accepting you. But again, I have so many conversations that just start off as a LinkedIn and turn into an amazing, sometimes friendship.
Yeah. And you're incredibly active on LinkedIn as well. And I do apologize to those out there that I might spam your feed with my posts. It's not intentional. That's LinkedIn's algorithm. So I'm sorry about that. Uh, but most often I'm posting about sharing the stories of others. I find
Yeah.
that's what I like doing. I also get emails every morning that sort of consolidate news stories. And this is a good tip for folks out there. Google Alerts. It's really great. Set up alerts on certain subjects, companies, industries that you're interested in, and get those emails once a week, every day. and you're going to be able to filter through those headline stories and then go, okay, these are the main stories that I'm interested in. So I'm giving you one of my LinkedIn hacks to folks that ask out there. And then I find those stories and I group them together. Also, sorry for all the emojis as well. I know some folks have commented on that. The interesting story about that, though, it actually comes from someone that I worked with at Kirby. His name's Mark Admana. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. He's a content specialist, photographer, and I was never big into emojis, but Mark really got me turned on to posting more with emojis. So every time I do it, I always think of Mark and that inspiration there. The other thing too is, because I do get this question, is this part of your job? And it's not. All of the posts that I write are outside of work hours. This is just in my free time. It scratches my marketing itch of creativity and wanting to post about that. You can ask my wife, Kelly. So, that's when I'm writing and preparing them, because I'm not being paid to post, and they are 100% my own posts. Work is not encouraging me to post anything specifically. And also, there are folks that reach out and ask me to post their stories or repost. I don't do that out of the basis of I'm not an influencer. I just like to share my content, what I'm interested in. Like, hey, I hope no one's offended by that when I just say, hey, sorry, I just don't do that. I appreciate the ask, but I feel like, I'm not going to be sort of bought in any way. It's 100% authentic. That's just what I want to do is post out there and maintain that.
That's such a good point, because I feel guilty when I say no to that all the time. And this, again, I didn't know you did that either. And actually, we've never talked about that.
We haven't.
And I was like, and sometimes if I know the person, I'll say, you know what, I'll like this one for you, but you know what, I'm not going to be sharing it. And I'm not going to be posting. Like, please don't. Like, if you want to do that, go out, network, create it authentically, and grow your network. Right. Like, that's funny. That's funny that you say that, because I have the exact same rule as well. And I'm not an influencer. I'm just like you. I just want to share the great things. If I see something that's out there, like Karma Camper Vans yesterday, building out their 100th van. I mean, that's freaking awesome. That's a great story. They're going to expand across Canada, like another Alberta success story, right? So, that's a very good point. And being on LinkedIn is something that you just have to be there. You just have to understand. You have to keep it active. Like, it's just so important in today's work, business world.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do encourage folks that feel maybe a bit nervous about posting. Like, your first post is not going to be perfect. It's not going to look, all polished and perfect, and you're not going to get, the high level of engagement. You might get very few views, but you got to start. I mean, that's the big thing. Just dip your toe in the water. Show that you have some interest in topics, engage. That's really the main thing is just to start.
You got to start somewhere. And again, nothing's like, and it doesn't matter if your post don't get, it doesn't matter if it gets a like.
No.
Like, just get it out there and share the good things that you're doing. I mean, that is by far the most important part. And when you are out there, don't be scared to say, hey, you know what? I don't have business cards anymore. I just have my QR code and say, here, let's start the conversation here. Like, that's where it's going. Look at my LinkedIn. Let's set up. And I don't even know how many coffee meetings I have. Like, my parking bill, there it is. My parking bill last year was $1,600. I have most of my meetings in Kensington at $1.50 an hour. So you can do the math on how many meetings I have with entrepreneurs. And again, I'm always there for something. And there it is. Like, Israel just comes up, right? Like, he's always trying to get another coffee, right? And that's a good thing. Thanks for the shout out, Israel. And again, that's a comment on LinkedIn, because this is live on LinkedIn. So let's talk about let's talk about you and what do you think's next for if you want to talk a little bit about KPMG and the role in the ecosystem, and yourself, Ian.
Yeah, so just continuing to support our tech and innovation sector, the startups and scale-up companies that are out there, helping to continue to build connections, make connections, support them in their growth. We get a lot of companies that are looking to expand into the US. You get US tax questions a lot. that expansion opportunity, our global network. So we've got 250,000 people in KPMG's network globally. So, companies they're looking to, expand their business internationally, helping make those introductions. And for me, I'm just going to keep lifting up the city, shouting out those stories that are out there. I'm a big supporter in many other organizations. So Platform Calgary, CDL Rockies, the 51, Alberta IoT, Calgary Economic Development, Calgary Chamber of Commerce. I'm an ambassador at the Calgary Chamber. I could keep going with a list of more names and organizations that I support. Big brothers, big sisters in the city. If anyone's looking to become a big brother, big sister, please reach out. I'd be happy to make connection or answer any questions that you have about that organization. And just going to attend as many events as I can in the city. You can see the wall of badges in the back there. There's never a shortage of events to attend. I'm sorry if I didn't make it to your event. I'm trying to get to as many as I can. We're going to keep hosting events in our box at the Saddle Dome when we bring out founders, and we've got some really exciting groups that are going to be coming out in the coming months, so stay tuned for that. And also next Tuesday, the 13th, we have KPMG office hours at Platform Calgary from 9 till 5. So if anyone's interested, you can take a look on my LinkedIn page, on Eventbrite. We've got folks in M&A, due diligence, corporate finance, US tax, Canadian tax, SHRED and government grants. So those advisors are going to be in the room. You can register, book a time, 30 minutes, and we can help support you.
I love it. I love it. I love the office hours idea. And I mean, I try not to give too many plugs to what we do at Peer Guidance, but we're partnered with Osler, and I'm excited about launching our office hours, which will be in March. And again, offering, free time for entrepreneurs to come, just sit down, ask questions. Doesn't matter if it's about HR, IP, sales, business development, people. Like, again, it's all about giving back. And I can talk about that in a box too. So it's
Nice.
Oh God, that's funny.
I will say one thing though, and from my days at a startup before till now, there are a lot more resources that are available for startups. There are a ton, and you have to, it's not hard to find, but you have to think and have the mindset of asking for help. It's really hard for people to consider, I can bootstrap everything. The reality is you can't. You won't be able to bootstrap everything. There are times that you're going to need support, and don't think that by reaching out to an organization like KPMG or others out there, other firms out there, large organizations, that, oh gosh, this is going to be really expensive, or they're going to try to sell me something. For us, we want you to succeed. We want you to grow and thrive so that one day you can be a client of ours. So giving some advice and guidance in the early days, because you don't know what you don't know, but it's really important that you reach out and ask for that help. So.
Yeah, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, and it's part of what we talk about at Peer Guidance, and it's something that I talk about personally. It doesn't matter if it's business, mental health, anything. Please reach out. There's so many people in our ecosystem that are there that'll listen, and even if they can't help you, can guide you to the right place, to somebody that can. So, I mean, that's such a good point. So thanks for bringing that up. And I have to agree with Stan Gorbanoff here. Like, Ian's crushing it. Like, there's no doubt about it. So thanks for that, Stan. I'm always sad when our conversation comes to an end, and I wish we could talk for another half an hour.
Well, we will on the courts. We might not be on a live chat, but we will.
Now that I've got that squash bug back in you, and I'm pumped that you played here already this week, and Scott's already trying to set up. I was like, Scott, there's no way E and I can play after this. We're going to be on such a rush. It's like, there's no way.
Totally.
But if you had one piece of advice for a startup or entrepreneur, Ian, what would that be?
Yeah, I think, the power of the network, connect with others, reach out, ask for help, share stories, support others, lift others up. All of the sort of themes that we've had in our conversation today, I think all of it into one, the power of our community, the power of lifting each other up. And ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness at all. There's so many people out there that want to help you grow and thrive. Just That's it. That's
Just
all
do
I
it.
gotta
All
say.
right?
Just do
Just
it.
ask
Just
for
do
help.
it.
Like, it's all we look for, right? I mean, that's all we need. And there's somebody there that will work with you and help
Yeah.
you and talk to you. And I can't stress that enough. And I know this interview was so long overdue, and I appreciate everything that you do in this community. You're authentic. You're an incredible person, and I'm glad to call you my friend.
Yeah.
And
Too,
I
Jade.
hope you never leave this industry. Like it's just the support that you give is absolutely unbelievable. So thanks again for everything that you do, Ian.
Jade, same to you. And I don't think most people know the level of support that you give to folks out there from so many different areas. You and I went through a mentor, program through the VMSA, and got to learn a lot about each other. And I'm really impressed with the work that you do and the support that you give to people out there. So thank you very much for everything you do, Jade.
Oh, I appreciate it, and thank you for the kind words. And yes, and again, for anybody out there that needs a little help, they got the Thriving Mind course. It's going to be at Platform next week, Thursday at noon. Please come out, check it out. Again, for all the people out there, that you mentioned before, the Brad Perrys, the Deborahs at the chamber, like everybody gives so much support. And again, Ian, thank you so much for coming on. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and hopefully we'll see you at the Tech Thursday event if you're out there, and then rolling into the Startup TNT after party. So Neil, keep on being awesome, my friend. And yes, as per your inspiration, I made a shirt that says that. I will wear it on Thursday
Keep on
for
being
you.
awesome.
Just to
Nice.
show you. And we'll go from there. Thank you again for your time, Ian. And I hope everybody enjoys their Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.